Hey everyone, welcome back to our place. We are back with Carissa from Hearts Connected. And if you are jumping to part two of this interview, I encourage you to go back and watch part one, where Carissa teaches us more about what child life services are, how they can help benefit your child if they have a disability, when talking to them about their diagnosis, helping with generalized struggles. And this is what I always say, this is where you see neurotypical and neurodivergent people are same. Most kids, no matter a disability or not, will struggle with anxiety or bullying or something. So that's great that you guys are helping kids with those services.
Mhm.
Now we are going to jump into a topic that has been so highly requested, and that is siblings.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a family has a child that gets diagnosed with a disability, and it is like all hands on deck for like what is their life and their future going to hold with a child. Are they going to be living with them for the rest of their life? What are those options going to be? And a lot of people, and I've talked to parents who have this guilt of their other children
Mhm.
that might not have a disability. And so you guys can help the siblings better understand their brother or sister's diagnosis. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So we do a lot of education by helping them to be able to better understand the diagnosis of their sibling, but we also do a lot of like emotional processing and validation to normalize kind of some of the negative feelings that some siblings will have, like jealousy or anger, and just kind of some of those just not good feelings that they might be shameful to be able to express or share, but they're very normal for what they're going through and what they're having to deal with um, like daily. And I think a lot of siblings don't know who to go to share those types of feelings, or they feel like they shouldn't be feeling those feelings or that something's wrong with them. And so we do a lot of emotional processing and validation with siblings. And we also really help parents to be able to know how to talk to their other kids about what's going on, what language to use to be able to create more camaraderie and connection between siblings versus like a rivalry, because
Yeah.
so often, parents, they are doing their best, but they, with good intentions, might say something that actually is producing more of a divide between siblings versus helping them to better understand like one another. And so helping parents to find the right language too, to be able to better support their children who are, typically developing, but also better support the connection between their children as well. And so we do a lot of different things with the siblings as well as the parents too.
Yeah, which I would imagine. So, and I always share, I have a brother who has a very rare disability. So I am the sibling of an individual with disabilities. And it can be some anxiety, there can be some depression, there can be all of those things that are occurring with the child that does not have a disability that you guys can help navigate through, just like you're helping the child who does have a disability navigate through.
Exactly, exactly. And maybe even helping them to understand their own mental process and what's happening like within their body when they're feeling like their anxiety or stress. What does that feel like for them? What does that look like? And how can we help to educate them to better understand their body responses and their nervous system and all those things that play a key role in their ability to cope and be more resilient with what they're dealing with. Um, yeah, I think we do a lot on being able to help siblings to just better understand what's happening around them. We strongly believe in helping kids to feel more empowered through education. And so we are super honest with kids. We are really transparent. We use big words, but break them down into a way for a child to better understand. That way, we're not hiding anything from them, and they feel that they can trust the adults around them and go to them with their hard feelings and hard questions, so that when they grow and develop and deal with new challenges, they know who to go to and how to get the answers and support that they need.
And so if you have, because I can definitely see this happening, if you have a family that is going, I'm just finding out about
Mhm.
child life specialists and these services, and I need help as a parent to walk my child through their diagnosis, but also like the sibling, I think I have other kids that you could utilize your services. Can
Yeah.
you help in all areas and you break it out by like time? How does that work?
Yes, yeah. So we want to separate it by child. So we never have a sibling session paired with the session with a child that has like a certain diagnosis. We want to separate them. That way they both have the safe space to be able to express whatever feelings they have, to be able to process. But yes, we address both needs, where it's the child who's actually, has a diagnosis like of some kind, to be able to better understand their diagnosis and process whatever challenges come with that diagnosis, and also work with the sibling to be able to teach them about their brother's diagnosis, what that means, how it impacts their daily life, but also help them to be able to emotionally process how that diagnosis affects their life as well, and help them to be able to build coping skills to deal with the challenges that come with the diagnosis, and also just build coping skills to be able to deal with just normal childhood challenges, like a hard day at school, or like a fight with a friend, or bullying, or just
Yeah.
those normal just childhood daily challenges.
And so when you think of having a conversation with I'm gonna focus on the sibling for this
Hmm.
situation. If you're having a conversation with a sibling and they are expressing challenges about maybe having an honest and open conversation with the parents about how they might be feeling, is
Hmm.
there confidentiality in those conversations that you're having with the sibling, or and you're helping them navigate how to have that conversation with the parents, or are you having the conversation with the parents on the child's behalf, letting them know what's going on?
Hmm.
Like, how does that
Yeah. So, as a mental health provider, confidentiality, it always comes first. So, if a sibling ever discloses a certain like emotion or challenge that they don't want their parent to know about, then we want to have that space continue to be a safe space for them to be able to continue receiving the therapeutic support that they need to process that certain feeling or challenge. So, we will tell the parent, what we talked about today, your child wants to keep private, but we're working on helping them to be able to come to you with this information, to be able to process it with you, hopefully next week or next month. And so we never want a parent to feel like we're intentionally hiding. It's the child's choice, and we're respecting that and want to keep it a safe space for their child to hopefully one day be able to share it with their parents. So we help kids to be able to kind of build the confidence and ability to know when it's the right time to share with their parent what they're feeling or what their challenge is, and then do that with the child, with the parent, or talk separately. Like, we give kids a lot of choice, and that's super important to us too, on giving kids the choice on how they want to share something, when they want to share it, and what that looks like, and how can we help to be a partner with them through that too.
Yeah, every parent's probably like, "So great that they're gonna tell me, but do I have to wait for a week or a month?"
Yeah. I will say honestly, actually, it's surprising. Most kids do want to tell their parents. I would say it's more rare for a child to ask me to not say anything. I think they just never had the opportunity to feel safe enough to share. And so when they finally meet with someone who is an unbiased non-family member, and they get something off of their chest, and they feel how good it feels, they want to do that with their trusted parent, and they don't want to keep it from them, because they were able to experience how good it felt to get it out. And so I will say it's actually more uncommon for kids to want to keep it a secret or to keep it confidential for a long period of time. Most kids do want to share, and we just kind of provide like this catalyst to be able to help them have a more safe way of doing that.
Well, I can imagine, for which I know that this is a concern for parents, because I've talked to many
Mhm.
families who say, "I always worry about my other child. I always worry about the
Yeah.
big brother. I always worry about the little sister." And for parents to find a service like this for that child, I would imagine could feel very comforting to that child, to feel
Yeah,
like they are being put first, to feel like they are top of mind
totally.
and all of those things.
Yeah, definitely. Because so many siblings are like the forgotten ones, and it's not intentional. Parents are doing their best. And, we do have to address the child who is having significant challenges through a certain diagnosis more primarily. It's like a survival thing that we have to do, and it's not intentional. But siblings are somewhat kind of the forgotten ones. And it's not that think that their parents, don't love them or don't care for them. They just don't know exactly why that feeling is happening and why this experience is happening to them. And so we also realize too that siblings can often become a caregiver role. And so we want to address that whole aspect of things too, that they might have a new prominent role within their family, but it's not a typical childhood role. It's more of a caregiver role. And so helping to address just all of these family dynamics that happen and to normalize them and help families to be able to process them versus shame them or hide them or ignore them, just helps to make them helps kids to be able to actually cope with the reality of what is actually happening versus hide from it.
Yeah. Which I can imagine too would be, we've done a lot of content around like guardianship and
Mhm.
planning for the future for your child. And what does that look like? And who is the primary caregiver? And
Yeah.
as those questions come up and start, you're starting to make a plan and you're starting to get answers. If the sibling is going to be involved in that process, it's
Yeah,
important to be including them in those conversations
exactly.
and all of that kind of stuff. And I
Exactly.
know, and I always say this, everyone's just trying to get through the day. There's like
Exactly.
40,000 therapies you're all supposed to be doing
Yep.
and not enough time in the day, and you're supposed to be doing therapy and the child's supposed to be doing therapy and all this kind of stuff, but you really do not hear about a lot of resources for siblings.
No, no, and the unfortunate thing too is like you said, there's so many things that we're doing, we're meal prepping, we're having therapies, there's so many things that we're doing that our schedules get so full that oftentimes our society becomes just so reactive to things where we don't look for sibling support until our sibling is really struggling. And not that it's too late, but it's just I want families to know that it's okay to be proactive. And just because your child who is, coping quote unquote well, they might still benefit from being able to meet with someone just once or twice to be able to just process their experience or to be able to better understand their brother's diagnosis or whatever it might be. And so just helping to encourage and to empower parents that sometimes yes it's adding more to your schedule, but in the long run it might be decreasing your schedule, because if we wait until a child is really struggling, they're probably going to need 6 to 10 to 15 sessions to be able to process years worth of trauma or hardship, versus if we're proactive and just do 1 or 2 sessions once, like when like they're 5 years old and then like 10 years old, we're helping to proactively mitigate the need for more things on our schedule later when multiple kids are struggling in the home.
Yeah.
But yes, I can totally relate to that and to empathize to that, and just also really want to encourage parents that we don't always have to wait for the ball to drop to be able to react to it. And
Yeah.
proactiveness can sometimes feel like we're adding more to our schedule, but we're actually helping like the long run to hopefully decrease needs in like the future as well.
Yeah. And hopefully you'll see more resources become available for parents
Yeah.
with siblings. I mean, you see
Mhm.
so many support groups forming and businesses and stuff on the employment front, which I am is absolutely so amazing. But the resources as far as sibling assistance is still lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
hopefully you'll start to see more support groups and all that kind of stuff come along with that. And kind
Yeah.
of back to what you were saying about, you know, it might be adding more to your plate right now, but in the long run, it's a benefit. I think the one thing that's great about you guys is you do have virtual options.
Yeah.
That is a blessing and a curse that COVID
Yes.
brought upon us
Right.
is everything went virtual. So you have a little bit lacking of that personal
Mhm.
interaction, but
Yeah.
you also are now able to receive services easier. I
Yeah.
mean, you're located in California, I'm located in Georgia, and you can have served families here because of the virtual
Mhm.
option.
Yeah. And I feel like virtual services was something that I never expected my career to take me towards, because I do love like the in-person aspect of things. But it has been really special for me to see like these last few years that therapeutic work can be accomplished virtually and magical moments can still happen virtually and kids can build coping skills virtually. And so I'm very passionate about the ability to give families better access to services through virtual services. Although obviously it's always best, I feel like, for someone to be able to meet someone face to face and physically, because so much is, you know, worked through an art activity or like through body language and stuff as well. But at the same time, I will say a lot of in-person services take a lot more financial risk, and then also have longer waiting lists. And so if you need your child to be able to have better access faster and more accessible, virtual is a great option. And the services that we provide is for 4 and above. So we make sure that we're not providing services to a child who won't be able to actually sustain and participate in like a virtual session. We do a free phone consult beforehand to find out what that child's level is of their attention span and their ability to engage, you know, virtually. That way we're actually providing a service that that child will benefit from, and like we're not wasting, you know, time and money and resources as well.
If you have a 4-year-old like me,
Yeah.
they're not there yet because he is wild.
Four is
Maybe
our
it's
like youngest cutoff, and we always assess to make sure like how appropriate can this 4-year-old participate in like a 45-minute video session?
yeah, exactly, especially with that start, like, sending through UPS art
Yes,
activities so they can do something.
yes.
And that's great that you guys do 30-minute phone consultations because, you know, I've talked to service providers that, you know, a family's super interested in connecting with them, and it's like
Mhm.
$1,200 for the first to
Oh
even
my
get your foot in
gosh.
the door and not even know what you're paying for.
Yeah.
So what might a family experience in that 30-minute free consultation?
Yeah, it's a 15-minute consult, but we'll never
15.
cut, like, a family off, so honestly, they will, like, run over into 20, 30 minutes sometimes as well, but it's a free 15-minute call, and essentially, it's important for us to make sure that families know what child life services are because we're different than a therapist or, like, a psychologist, and so we wanna make sure that they know what our services are for, and then we will assess the needs of their child and their ability to engage in, like, a virtual session, and we will always refer families out if their child's not appropriate for our services, and help parents to better understand what like a video session will look like. So based off of the needs that are shared with us, we'll kind of walk them through like what a session will look like. We'll start off with, you know, this and this and this, and kind of help them to better understand what activities like we might do, what emotions we might work through, what education might be given, those types of things. And then help them to also know the structure of their role as well, of like when will they pop in, what parts of like the session will they be a part of or not be a part of, and so that parents feel more in control and better prepared for what their child's support session will look like.
Okay. I mean, so do the session. If anything, especially if you're on a wait list for therapy services, we know that that's a problem. There are
Mhm.
not enough therapists and as there are
No.
people to serve. Um, and child life specialists might be able to provide the same type of benefits for even a cheaper cost.
Yes.
So if you are interested in getting connected with Carissa or Hearts Connected and learning more about their services or child life specialists in general, head on over to our experts page where you can fill out a form. We will get you connected. And Carissa, thank you so much for all the information. Hopefully, maybe you guys are our hope for more sibling resources.
Yes, yeah, we're here for it.
Yeah.
It's a very like loved population that needs a lot more support, so
Yes.
we're honored to be here for
Dad
them.
and dads, that's the two. I'm like
Yes,
siblings and the dads. We got to
yes,
get them in there at some point. So,
definitely.
well, thank you so much for the time, and we will look forward to working more with Hearts Connected in the future.
Thank you so much, Megan.
See you guys next time.